Life After Sports. Hey, this is podcast number 3, and it couldn't be more special. You know, I got my baby brother on the show today, Gary Sheffield. I mean, like I said, our friends. I mean, it's so much more than just sports. I mean, it's like it's brothers, it's families. We lived together, we ate together, we did everything together since 1986. You know what I mean? And shoot, I mean, we were in Helena, Montana together, freezing together. You know what I mean? He from Florida. I'm from California. And they put us in Montana, man. I feel like Yellowstone for a minute, dog. It was cold. All right, so, 1986, the Shep was he's going to be a hurricane like me. And the next thing you know, we get drafted by the Brewers, and our journey started, man. And we've been close ever since. And like I said, sports brings people together. You know what I mean? It's lifelong friendships, brotherhoods, and, you become family, especially in baseball. We shoot, what is it about? Shoot, we're home for like 2 months and we're gone for 10. You know what I mean? So it's kind of crazy.
What year were you drafted, Greg?
Both of us were 1986.
You guys were both 86?
Yeah, he was out of high school and I was out of college.
Gotcha.
Yep. He was Tampa, Florida. And like I said, we've been close ever since. So, Shep, what's been going on with you, man? What you been doing?
Man, I just been trying to get my 17-year-old prepared for this draft. He's on the circuit now. He went to work out for the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Cubs, the Kansas City Royals, coming to the house, doing the little visit. Talking to him about, what they're looking for. And I've been in the position he's in now, and trying to give him the homework that I've always known and dealt with for years. And so kind of passing it to your children, especially now, when you say what you was going through and how you approached it, they think it's not that way now. It's like, Daddy, you're wrong. These guys are looking for this and that. But at the end of the day, I always tell him, baseball is still played the same. And if they making you guys play it different, try to play it our way when we was producing and we was productive. When you do it that way, nobody can say anything.
Yeah, I think we were taught, and we learned early that if you don't want them to mess with you, or you don't want them to talk to you and tell you nothing, put up the numbers. You know what I mean? So I think, we had individual battles. We had our team against opposing pitcher battles. We see them, hey, man, we're going to bust you tomorrow. But it was all in, a competitive nature. So, I was fortunate. We had a good draft in 86, and we basically, all of us moved up together, but like I said, me and Shep, we even lived together in the big leagues. We lived together every step of the way. So, it was, we had to go through some of them battles too, you know what I mean? But,
well, what I always tell people, and I say, unfortunately, if our organization would have understood us better, we could have had a dynasty because we had the young group, me, you, Darryl Hamilton, coming up the minor leagues at a fast pace. And what an organization is supposed to do is you bring in veterans, you bring in guys that, we got 3 guys that's going to come up here and take over center field, left field, and Robin Yount was there. So one of you guys, you would have probably played right field because you had a stronger arm than Darryl Hamilton. So you probably would have been the right fielder. So our outfield would have been secure. And then you had me in the middle of the infield. You had Paul Molitor, and you had Gantner and all those guys. And B.J. Surhoff was a young guy at the time as well. And so all we needed was pitching and a different philosophy. And so when you look at that, I think that when they treated me the way they treated me on the team, I was supposed to be the face of the team. And then all of a sudden now I'm being told that I have to move positions for a guy that wasn't as productive as me. It's not like you're trying to disrespect the player. It's just the fact that, you don't do that to a first-round draft pick and when we're the face of the team. And I think that if they would have handled us correctly, Milwaukee would have been winning championships for decades.
I think you're right. I think, like I said, especially it was bitter because with me and Shep, the numbers we had to put up to even get to the big leagues.
Right.
And and we still were on a fast track, but somebody comes up and doesn't do a quarter of that and they get handed a job, it doesn't rub you the right way. You know what I mean? And like I said, Shep, he was probably top prospect in all the baseball at that time. I mean, 18 years old, he's in the big leagues. He's doing his thing. And like I tell everybody, I've been around some talented people, but he was built different, man. He was built different. I mean, the strength, the hand-eye coordination, and he could pitch, and he had a cannon. You know what I mean? So I mean, he had it all. But we had, I had to go 30-30 2 years in a row before I got to the big leagues. Shep had to hit 350, and so many, we just the expectations, but that we had that were put on us. But we knew that growing up in the area we grew up in. Like my grandma always said, don't make it close. You know what I mean?
That's right.
don't make it close. So we know that going in, and we didn't. But and it was hard for me too, because now they're taking my brother, my best friend away. When he left, man, I was there by myself, and I remember the first phone call Shep did when he said, "Man, get out of there."
Yeah. I mean, because I knew your talent, and I knew my talent, and our talent meshed together. It worked perfectly. When we first got to rookie ball. Surprisingly, I didn't know you was getting drafted there, and you didn't know I was getting drafted there. And when I showed up on the scene, you was in the second hole. Darryl Hamilton was in the one hole, and I came in. They dropped me in the 3 hole, and I was the type of hitter that I allowed you to do your thing in front of me, even though you did home runs on top of it. But when you got on base, I let you run. I let you do your thing. I didn't swing at pitches when I knew you can steal the base. I felt confident in myself, so you was setting me up to have a great year, because every time you was on base, you was stealing. And so Darryl Hamilton got on base, he was stealing. So my job was easy. All I got to do is let y'all run, and once the table is set, just make sure you eat all your food. And, and that's basically what I did. And I tell people all the time, I couldn't have had no year like that without you guys. You guys, people don't understand, guys in front of you allow the big guys to eat. And me, we was the big guys. Darryl Hamilton set me and you up. So a guy like yourself, they see the way they set our lineup up then, they're starting to set those lineups up like that now. Because you was a 30 home run guy before any of us. You know what I mean? You can hit 30 home runs in your sleep. But the point is that you was hitting second. So you was getting fastballs when Darryl Hamilton got on base. And I think you led the league in home runs. And so, and you're hitting second. And then I think you was up there in stolen bases. But I led the league in RBIs. That's a testament of you guys being up top, setting the table. And I was second in home runs to you, and second in batting average to Darryl Hamilton. So we was on the leaderboard on every category just to get to the big leagues, or even just to get another level ahead, just to get the A ball.
Yeah, we were just trying to get the A ball, dog.
Hey, I was doing a whole lot to get the A ball.
Hey, but we had to, man. They wasn't pulling nobody up like us back then. You know what I mean?
Right.
For some reason, and I guess it was a testament to them. We needed so many at bats, or we needed to do whatever we had to do. But we probably could have came up a lot earlier. But like I said, man, in hindsight, I think Shep's not giving himself enough credit either, because he was 18 years old too, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? He knew his baseball IQ at 18 was far more advanced than a lot of guys I knew at the big league level. You know what I mean? He knew how to play the game. And I think, and Shep can probably elaborate on this, because my boys signed, and I mean, that's Uncle Gary, you know what I mean? Shep talking to him. Kids don't understand how to play now, because, every practice, every time they hit is structured. You know what I mean? It's, you do this, you do that. They never go out on their own and, just experiment, just play pickle, play strikeout. They don't, if you don't tell them how to do it, they don't know how to do it. You know what I mean? It's,
well, it's all about competing. See, we was good at competing, no matter what it was. If it was four square or whatever, we competed. And so the thing is that when you compete in everything, when the one thing that matters to you the most is baseball, then you're going to compete like no other. My granddad always told me, and I taught this to my kids, every man got some quit in him. Do you have quit in you? And if you that 1% that don't have no quit in you, then you should win most battles. Because one thing about me is I'm never going to quit. I'm never going to give up. I'm never going to bow down to no situation. I will make you tap out before I tap out. And so my mentality was different than most people. And I knew that. I knew that coming in at a young age because I was not afraid of who was on the mound, who I was playing with or against. All I did was if I found the best player on my team, we make it a competition to make each other better. And so it's competing. So it's like, yeah, we playing another team, but me and you competing. I want you getting a hit. I want to get a hit. You hit a home run. I want to hit a home run. So those things make you better. And I think that today's players, I don't think they talk enough to each other and push each other. Because if you did that, then you would go out and become a family. And that's what we became. We became a family. And when we step on the field, it was like family going to battle.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I don't think they compete with each other enough. Like back in the day, everybody want to be everybody's friend. You know what I mean? When we came up, it wasn't about being friend. They got the trophies that they give you just because you're on the team. I just didn't. I never got that when I started seeing that. And we used to have a saying in the NFL. We looked at baseball players. I told him this maybe a week ago or two, and we used to always pick our baseball players that we thought could be great football players, and you was one of them. It was due to the non-quit. Us as professional football players can see players that wouldn't quit, and we used to talk about, hey, Gary ain't gonna quit. I can put him on my team. So we would take basketball player, hockey, and we always pick players and be like, hey, I'm gonna take Gary. I bet you he can play the running back. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it wasn't that we knew you could play football. It was just about the mental set and the way that we knew that you wouldn't quit. Because I don't believe in quitters. Quitters, they hang out with each other. You know what I'm saying? Right. Beat it. Right. You know, but hey man, do you see any player in the major leagues right now that remind you of yourself?
Yes, that player is Bryce Harper. I really like watching Bryce Harper because the way he played the game. He played the game with a purpose. You can tell he involves his teammates. He talks to his teammates. He educates them because he knows he's more advanced than anybody on the field. This guy was a superstar. He played with my son in Arizona when they was 11 years old, and my son was telling me about him then. And yeah, it's good. It's one thing to be a good player or a great player, but he got that dog in him. And when I saw him play and I watched him, he charged the mound a couple of times and he plays the game on the edge a little bit. And if you're playing against a guy like that, you already know you got to bring it. And so right there, if you know you're playing against a guy that you have to bring it and you know you got to bring it, it makes you make mistakes as a player. And so either you're going to outcompete him or you're gonna get demolished. And so that's why I like him. I watch him probably more than anybody. I don't really like watching baseball per se, but during the playoffs I'll watch it. But he's the guy that always stands out to me.
Hey, that's a good player. I can see that remind you of yourself. Well, Bryce Harper. I don't think these kids today is like we were saying earlier about competing. I believe it came from when they was younger. Everything has been given to them. You guys back in the day competed with each other. You competed against the other teams.
We competed at home, man.
At home you had to compete to eat.
Piece of meat, man.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. You had to compete at home. I think I just think it's the upbringing. You know, like Shep knows my family. He knows my mother, my grandmother. He knows, and I vice versa. So it's they were no nonsense. You know what I mean? Women, not women, whatever. It was no nonsense. They didn't tell us what we wanted to hear. They told us what we needed to hear to make us successful. I think that's the difference.
People come out, not many people come out of high school, right? So what's the difference between coming out of high school and then out of college?
Well, I think for me, I wasn't ready to play baseball. Football was my first love. So that, I was just an athlete playing. You know what I mean?
Right.
And everyone thought I was going to go football, and then, it wind up to go baseball. But like I said, there's a difference in coming out and making it to the big leagues in high school and the difference in just coming out. Because I think a lot of kids, they're sad, I'm going to get drafted. See, that I never said I was going to get drafted. That was never a goal. Getting drafted is easy. My goal was to get to the big leagues.
Right.
I wanted to be a big leaguer. So getting drafted, once you get drafted, what else you going to play for? Because you already accomplished your goal. You know what I mean? Getting drafted, but I wanted to be a big leaguer. So that was my purpose. And I think Shep, I can't speak for Shep, but just my opinion is, like I said, his IQ and his talent level was so far advanced, especially for his age. You know what I mean? He was special, man. And it was crazy because you had Shep, and then you had King Griffey Jr., and then you had Alex Rodriguez. It was like boom, boom, boom. And sometimes all of us are blessed, but the good Lord just looked down and say, "Hey, man, this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna be a little bit better. You're gonna be a little bit more special than everybody else." But like I said, man, Shep, he didn't. Like I said, man, he's been my brother for a long time. He's never changed. He hasn't changed now.
Well, what was it like? Can you tell us, Gary? What was it like coming out of high school? You think there was more pressure on you than like if you would have went to college and done it the other way?
Well, I'll say this. I miss going to college. For the first 5 years of my career, I was kind of regretting going in the draft because I felt like, being a kid that's so young and so talented where, I'm rushing through the organization, like wildfire, but I wasn't allowed to be a kid at the same time. And so I missed my childhood because of it, because I had to be a certain way. I had to, like I remember Nike trying to make me and King Griffey the poster boys of Nike. And they told me how we're going to represent you with Nike and what image we're going to give you. And I told them the only image you're going to give of me is going to be me. It's going to be my image, who I am as a person. And that's when they made King Griffey Jr. the kid. But to me, that was like, okay, I see what I'm up against, because they want to let him be a kid and basically try to get me to conform to a certain way of thinking. And I said, well, I will forego all of this just to be myself. And so that decision at a young age, it cost me a lot, probably cost me a lot of money and endorsement money, but I didn't care about that and still don't care about it. But I think the most important thing for me was I was able to be myself, and I took a lot of flack for it because I gave up what I could have been for the sake of that. And so for me, if I would have went to college, I probably would have been more mature and I would have been thinking different, because people always ask me, would you have done anything different coming out of high school or and being, a guy that speak up like you spoke up? Would you do anything different? And I said, well, I didn't know how. So there's no way that I could say I would have done anything different because I didn't know how. I was 18 years old or 19 years old. So no matter what you told me, I saw it like an 18 to 19-year-old would see it. And so now I'm 55 now, and I have kids around that age. Now I understand, hey, let a kid be a kid, and don't crucify a kid for doing kid things. And so I think, for me, yeah, you call it pressure. I dealt with that. I dealt with the pressure of coming to the park every day, getting booed, and then when you didn't get a hit, but when I got a hit, everybody wants to cheer. Now imagine what that's doing to a 19-year-old kid. It was destroying me inside, but I had to develop a mentality that you couldn't penetrate. And so what that meant was you created this person. So I became what you created. Now, I was this shy kid that I wouldn't speak on anything. I just wanted to play baseball. So I think that if I would have went to college, I would have allowed myself the time that I needed to mature, and I probably would have said the right thing and made the right choices. But coming out of high school, I wasn't allowed that.
I could attest to that because I was with him. You know what I mean? And I mean, Shep was shy. You know what I mean? But the scrutiny he had to go, he was put under, being, that phenom, the can't miss, but he was treated differently because they looked at him differently than they looked at a lot of other quote unquote phenoms. They didn't have to go through what he had to go through. And people are probably going to say, well, it seems like you're just riding off his back. No, I'm telling the truth. I was there. I mean, we had fun. And man, we laughed every single day in the minor leagues.
Yeah.
We laughed. And I mean, I seen him, whether it was 2 for 3, 0 for 3 in the big leagues in Milwaukee. For him, he was not having fun. They took something from him, during those times, because, at 18, 19, you don't know how to do it. We were talking on the podcast earlier, another subject, Shep, how would you like to be the only person of color or on your team who right now, because when we came up, it was like a family reunion. Every team had 5 or 6 African-American players. Now, some teams have 0 or 1. You know what I mean? Can you imagine, so imagine what Shep said he just went through. Can you imagine being that only player? Who does he lean on? Who does he talk to? Because every team doesn't have a black coach. Who does he call?
Right.
You know what I mean?
I mean, that's true, Greg. I mean, like, people think that's easy to do. But the reality is that you don't see the world the way we see the world. And the bottom line is that we see things different because we treat it different. And that's the only reason why we're the way we are, because we're treated different. So we have to act accordingly. But if we can walk in a room and not feel like the elephant in the room, then we probably be comfortable and relaxed like everybody else. But that's not the case. We have to create our own happiness. We have to create our own space where we're most comfortable so we can accomplish what we want to accomplish. This ain't about black, white, or whoever with me. This is about my career and being able to achieve the things that I came here to achieve. Now, if anybody get in the way of that, whether he's white, black, or anything, then we're gonna handle it like it need to get handled. And so, where I'm from, like I always tell people, you can talk the talk all you want, but I'm the type of guy that I'm gonna answer the call and I'm gonna see if you're about that life. And so I'm not playing around with you. I don't play games. My thing is that I'm a fun-loving guy. I respect everyone. I treat people like I want to be treated. But when you cross the line, I'm going to let you know.
And, I tell people this all the time, because they have the misconception that Gary's a certain type of guy or this and that. I said Gary's the best teammate and one of the best people. The only thing you can't do to Gary is mistreat him or lie to him.
Or lie to me.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't play either one of those because I won't do it to you. That's why I'm so adamant about that, is because I'm not going to ever lie to you, because I feel like if I got to lie to you, then I'm being conniving and mischievous. And there's nothing about me that's that. I'm a guy that if it's meant for me, I'm cool with that. If it's not meant for me, then I'm going to let you have your shine and it's for you. And so I root for everybody. I want everybody to do well. But at the same time, don't get in the way and try to stop my blessing.
Gary, tell me something. Do the kids play on instincts like you guys used to play back in the day?
Not at all. I think I had this conversation earlier today with someone, and I was explaining to them the difference between sabermetrics and a guy's ability to think is gone, because sabermetrics are good, but you got to give a guy a chance to think for himself. And if he thinks for himself, then basically he can digest the sabermetrics better. And so when you bring a kid up and he's young and he's had success his whole life, and all of a sudden now you're telling them, stand here, do this, focus on this, all they're thinking about is what you told them. They're not thinking about playing the game out before the game is played. So I used to play a game in my mind. Let's just say if I was facing Pedro Martinez tomorrow, I would have a whole game plan on Pedro Martinez that night. So I already knew what I was going to do on certain pitches he threw me. I kind of knew his patterns. I know that he's not going to challenge me like most guys. So I have to play a game with myself to say, okay, if he do this, I'm going to be ready for it, and I'm going to have success on it. And I've had success in my mind. So when the game happens, then when things start taking place, I've already experienced it because I played it with myself. So now if you give me sabermetrics to add on top of it to predict what Pedro is going to do, then I would digest the information that they gave me and the information that I created myself, and I would have a better chance to succeed. And so that's why I always say sabermetrics and old school, you can create magic. But if you eliminate one without the other, now you're playing a different game.
Shep, let me ask you this. Sorry, James.
No, you good, brother.
Do you think there's ever a time when you can get too much information?
Absolutely. Because if it's like a putt or anything else, a guy, your caddy goes out there a day before and place markers and say, okay, if you hit the ball here, you got a better chance to make the putt. That's what sabermetrics is talking about. So if you know that this guy 90% of the time he's going to throw a breaking ball on this count, yeah, that may be true, but you got to consider who's hitting. So if I'm hitting, he's not going to throw 80% breaking balls in this situation, or he's not going to throw 80% fastballs in this situation. I have to base it on what I do best. And if I'm a hitter that I can handle the fastball, then you got to bring me sabermetrics to fit what I do. And I think that too many times they want all these hitters to be the same, to look for the same thing and react the same way. And that ain't how the game ever been played.
Right. Yeah, it sort of goes back to, when we were taught and when we were playing, they're not going to pitch a 3, 4, 5 guy like they pitch a 1, 2, 8, 9 guy. You know what I mean?
Even situations, maybe the situation may not call for. If a guy throws 80% fastballs, you think he's going to throw a fastball with 2 men on base with the middle of the order coming up? He's not. So what do he do? What do he do best when he's in trouble? That's what you bring to us. Because every time we walk up there, he's in trouble.
Yeah, you're in scoring position.
So now when you say, okay, he goes to this pitch to get a ground ball, or he goes to this to get a strikeout, that's the information you bring the middle of the lineup. You can't bring me the same information you bring it, that to my ninth place hitter, because we're not going to get treated the same.
Yeah, that's my sentiment exactly. I'm like, and even when my kids were playing, I remember walking in on the, he was taking batting practice in the cage. They had it set up on like 96 down and away, a Pedro slider. I'm like, why are you practicing this? Because you can't hit this. You know what I mean? Right. So why would I even practice that? So I think we're practicing. Like you said something that I say all the time. They both can work together, but they eliminate the old school and they just want it to be the new school. You know what I mean? Right. So they hate for us to tell them, we hit mistakes. Nobody's going to hit that breaking ball. We might be able to foul it off, but why not put it high and out over the zone on a mistake pitch that we're going to see. We're going to have more success off of that, And then two, they had them chasing their best pitches. Hey, this guy throws this, and this, but then they're never ready for that fastball that comes down the middle. Like you said, you never changed who you were. You were, and I tried to be that for the most of my career too. Is, hey man, I've been hitting fastballs since I was 7 years old. Why am I going to try to hit breaking balls in the dirt? You know what I mean? Willie Mays, what he used to say, hey, there ain't a good breaking ball hitter on the planet. You know what a good breaking ball hitter is? Don't miss the fastball.
Right. Well, Greg, I tell people it's different levels to it. It's different levels. Everybody had a philosophy. But the one thing never changes is, how about me getting your eyes in the strike zone? And if I can keep your eyes in the strike zone, no matter what he's trying to do, I don't care what he's trying to do, my eyes stay in the strike zone. So if I stay in the strike zone, I dictate that at bat. You don't dictate that at bat. Now, if we're chasing what they're throwing, we're playing the game that they're playing. But what I do is I play my own game. My game is I'm going to sit here until you throw me a strike. I want you to make me swing. Now, if I go up there saying I'm swinging, you're playing in the hands of the pitcher. So basically what you got to go up there thinking is what I do best. I hit fastballs out over the plate so I can get extended. If he come inside, you're begging me to hit a home run off of you if it's a strike. But I know all the arm angles. And when you know the arm angles, you know certain pitches can be thrown and you know pitches that can't be thrown. It depends on your arm angle. And if you focus on the small things, like if a guy's 3/4, the only two things his ball can do is run into you or go away from you. It doesn't rise. A guy that throws from the top, his ball can only do two things: go straight down or straight up. It don't run in or cut away from you. So if you look at Mariano Rivera pitch and you see the cutter, Mariano is throwing that cutter from an angle to get it to cut. Now, if you tell Mariano created a sinker later on when I got to the Yankees, I can pick up his sinker before it comes out his hand because he is a little subtle change he makes in that delivery trying to get that ball to run in opposed to cutting away. So if you pay attention to those little things and the details, no pitcher can fool you. And so I've already eliminated pitches out of my mind because I know what arm angle you're coming from.
You know what? Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. But that's what analytics can't teach you, and
Right.
and that's what analytics took the place of veterans. When they took the veterans out of our professional sports, they replaced it with analytics due to the fact of I don't want to pay this older guy, so I'm gonna bring this analytics crap in. That's the same way that we look at it in professional football. The little subtle things like the way you sit in the backfield from the I formation. I knew when I broke the huddle and walked to the line, I knew what you did out of all those formations, just like you knew when you're talking about the arm angles, because I would run that stuff off in my head. You know what I'm saying? I knew 3 plays you did out of I, far, near, back, empty, one back, all that. I knew it, and I tell young guys, I should be like, man, I've digested everything before the ball even snapped. I know the play before the ball even snapped, just like you knew the arm angle before the ball even came because you knew it's the little subtle things, you know what I'm saying? And they took that out of our young guys' hands by eliminating the veterans like us. Instead of letting us stick around and teach the game, they said, okay, we're going to get rid of these old guys because they just collecting checks. Let's get an analytics guy and allow him to tell us the exact same things, but through a computer. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
absolutely. And that's the reason they got rid of veterans out of all the sports.
But the thing that people are forgetting, analytics, like Shep said, can be good, but you're losing the human element.
That's
the human
so
element because, like you said, that place that he should be in right now. We'll talk about the Hall of Fame. I mean, he was born different and special. Everybody didn't get to digest and didn't look at the game the way Gary did. You know what I mean? Because they couldn't. They didn't have the capability to. And when I said the Lord looks down, and just says, hey, you're blessed to do this, and this, and they make a special place called the Hall of Fame for you.
Right.
That's where he should be. Those guys end up there. You know what I mean? For me, I had to, not saying they didn't work. I had to work at my trade every single day and take all the different trials where him, Roberto Alomar, and those guys, they could see something and, we get it, but we might not get it as early as they did because, like I said, they were just born to have it. You know what I mean?
I equate it to this, Greg, like golf. If you ask a pro to stand at the tee box, just like we stand at the tee box and you move us to the back, we're going to see the golf course totally different than they're going to see it. So they know where they hit. They know how far their driver is going to land and how far it's going to roll. And so they hit the ball accordingly. We're looking at the golf courses. We just want to get in the fairway. We don't care what the ball does as long as they land in the fairway.
Don't lose the ball. Don't lose the ball.
Exactly. So the thing is that when I've been in player meetings and hitting meetings and they're giving me the scouting report, And I'm sitting here ready to go to sleep and walk out because none of that applies to me, because what you think is difficult, I don't. Because you may say, oh, you know, this guy got 5 pitches and this guy does this, that, and that, and the other. I'm looking at him as I'm going to hit what I want to hit. The other pitches he has, those other 3, I'm not even paying attention to them because I'm not even swinging at them. I'm going to swing at the 2 pitches that I know I'm going to have success on, and I keep it as such. And so that's why I'm saying I would love to be in a room with sabermetrics guys, and I would give them right off the top of my dome the information of a pitcher right before a game, and I guarantee you I'll break that pitcher down without any analytics and just by watching him warm up. I can watch him warm up, and I can tell my hitters what to hunt and where to look, and guarantee you we'll have success.
That's veteran. That's knowing the game. That's knowing the instincts of the game. It's like when you're saying that in baseball, I feel you, because I was in a room and they was telling a guy about speed rushing, right? And I'm looking at the guy and I'm saying to myself, he can't outrun my mom. How is he gonna speed rush somebody? but the guy's a good pass rusher. So
Yeah.
instead of making him, well, the analytics say he can beat him around the corner. Yeah, he can beat him around the corner, but the kid that you're talking to, I don't think he can beat him around the corner. How about give him something that he can work down the center and get to the inside of him? You know what I'm saying? Because if you know he a kick stepper, why not understand, okay, I don't think you can beat him around the corner. But see, if you had someone telling him that instead of a computer, they'll know you can't beat him around the corner. You have to work him from center to inside. Maintain the outside, but working from center to inside. But when you take the veterans, as I said, you take them away from the game, you take the human element of the game out.
Well, what they're really doing when they brought the sabermetrics in, what they're really doing is they're taking away the teaching part.
That's
and
right.
so now when they say great players can't teach, well, I beg to differ. Some great players can teach because, you know, my sons are doing pretty good, you know, and so my thing is that what you don't do well, we'll work on, and we'll do it every day. All you got to do is look at Coach Washington when he got his infielders, Ron Washington, he goes out there with those infielders every day. You can't tell me he don't make them better. So no sabermetrics can teach that. That's called hard work and dedication. So if you do that, now when you tell me, I want you to stand here because more than likely he's going to hit the ball over here. But if I have my intelligence as a hitter, as a fielder, and know who's on the mound pitching for me, and I'll say, no, that bat swing that this guy is showing me, his ball is going to be hit over here. Now, with Ron Washington teaching the fundamentals of footwork and how to have range and how to get the ball to first quick. Now, if they do hit the ball over there, I got the wherewithal to get to it and still make the out. But I've covered 2 areas that I make sure this guy don't get a hit. But just to tell a guy to stand on a piece of paper and pull out a piece of paper and oh, that's right, I'm supposed to be 4 steps to the right. I don't think that's good for anybody, because now when something happens different, you're surprised, you know, opposed to saying, I scouted this hitter and I know what his swing is. I know where to play. And if he does hit a ball somewhere else, it's considered a base hit.
As me as a fan of baseball, that's where you answer the question probably for me and a bunch of people out there in our in the audience. Because I used to always wonder, why is these guys in the outfield, in the infield, keep pulling this paper out the back of their pants? And I never seen you guys do that in the past. Guys, I'm 55 years old too, so I didn't see guys like you, all these great baseball players pulling paper out your back of your pants. But now, every time I turn baseball on, I'm watching somebody pull something out the back of their pants and look at it, and then they go stand at a spot. I didn't see that with you guys. And now you have answered the question for me and our audience. What the hell is going on with all this paper?
The thing is, we got the same information they got in our players meeting. But the difference is we knew where they wanted us to play, but what we saw on the field, we made the adjustment ourselves.
But Gary, do they
And
go?
so
Do they
you'll
go
have
back?
an infield coach or outfield coach waving you to move over, and then you wave back at him, I see something. Then they trust and believe that you see something, and they'll go along with what you see. Now, if they saying, no, we still want you to move over there, that must mean we're going to pitch this guy a certain way, and there's no way this is going to happen. So now if you move over there and they hit it where you was at, it's on us, not you.
Okay, that goes back to your instincts, right?
Yes.
All
But
right.
it goes back to, like I said, the player part of the game, where you can see somebody, he might not have that same swing that he had last week when you faced him, because, you got a back-to-back. And, you got a sinker ball pitcher, you got a left-handed hitter. Why am I going to play this dude to pull, man? If he tried to pull the ball, he's going to do us a favor. So the sinker ball pitcher would be telling me, hey, Vaughn, I need you to shade him to the line a little bit because, I'm going to be throwing it this way. But what they did is, like I said, they took the human element out. But if you look at it, look at all the teams that have won in the past 5-6 years. They all have ex-players and managers in the dugout. So, and I know they hate this, and they hate, when they're going to see this, but they never come down and say they messed up. It's always the player that messed up or didn't execute.
Well, Greg, they don't. They want to say our percentage of having success is because a guy from Harvard or Yale, and there's nothing wrong with those schools, those great schools. I mean, those guys are very smart. But if I handed that guy a baseball glove or a bat, I bet he couldn't hit, and I bet he couldn't catch. So the bottom line is, let us do what we do, and you do what you do, and we make the magic. But the bottom line is, like I said, these guys are teaching these players to play like robots. And I hate it for these kids because talent is going to come around every year. Talent never goes anywhere. But what's left is the teaching part of the game. If I teach you how to keep your eyes in the strike zone, even after the guy released the baseball, you'll see magic because that's an art. A lot of guys don't know how to keep their eyes in the strike zone when they're hitting because they're reacting to what the pitcher is doing. What I do is, if you throw me a breaking ball, my head don't move. My head stay in the strike zone. When that breaking ball comes towards the strike zone, it's a strike, and I swing at it. What these kids do now, when they see a breaking ball it starts out high, they take their eyes up where the ball is, and then when the ball comes back down, now you got to change where your eyes are, and now you miss the ball. I look for a baseball in a certain spot, and I pick a spot on the baseball to hit it. So that's the next level to it. And if we teach that to these kids at a young age, they will get it a lot faster.
Well, I think, it goes back to, we weren't, another teaching element is the iPad we see, but we talk during the game. We come back, hey, man, he don't have that same breaking ball he had last week, man. So, you got to eliminate that. You know what I mean? It's, you were always in the game. When he warmed up, we didn't take our eye off him. We were always engaged to, if he was just tipping his pitches, fanning, whatever he was doing, we were trying to get an edge. It's not cheating, it's trying to get an edge.
That's right.
So I think that part's gone away because they're relying on a piece of paper. And, when you start just putting a bunch of information in, hey, man, you can't put all the information in from people from Hall of Famers and expect other players to play like Hall of Famers. You know what I mean? I think that's part of it that they're forgetting. You know what I mean? You can't do that.
It doesn't work like that.
It's the human element.
The human element. Right? And you know what? And not saying you're not special because you're not a Hall of Famer, but you know your ability. You know what your strengths are. You maximize and try to bring your weaknesses up to your strengths and be the best that you can be. Because, there's more non-Hall of Famers that play baseball than Hall of Famers. And speaking of that, my boys were all over here last week, and, I was pulling for my dog, you know what I mean? We had the champagne and the wine. We was ready to go, you know what I mean? And it's just heartbreaking, man, because, me and you, we see Dave Parker, who, was like a father to us, big brother to me and you. And one of the baddest men on the planet, he's out. He doesn't, we don't understand, what they're doing. You know what I mean? We expect it, but, you think it. I guess the world's in a position it's in right now, so how can we expect baseball to take it? You know what I mean? It's just, you just don't see it. You don't see, people that should be rewarded being rewarded. You know what I mean? So I just want to say, Well, I talked to you that day too. You know what I mean? And I was like, like Gary always says, like he said, he's built different, man. Hey man, I'm still enjoying my family and I'm having a good time. And you know, I mean, I appreciate you sharing that with me. You know what I mean?
Well, like I always tell you, Greg, I just let you know, I let my closest friends know that your boy's doing good. And see, a lot of times people always, when you don't see somebody for a while, and the first thing you say, man, how you doing? Man, I'm doing great. No, what about when you ain't doing great? I tell you, I'm not doing too good. I'm an honest person. I just say, hey, man, I'm just getting through this or getting through that, but I'm going to be okay because I know I will. And so, for me, um, what's happening now, I never thought I would see it in a million years because I was always told for the 22 years I played and even the whatever teen years I've been out the game, I've always been told that certain numbers are automatic. And if you don't have these numbers, you're not getting in the Hall of Fame. That's what I was always told.
Me too.
Now I'm seeing that guys are getting in the Hall of Fame with less numbers, which, hey, congratulations, man. I don't hate on no one. But the point is that we're letting guys in the Hall of Fame without resumes of Hall of Fame numbers. Now, what we're going to put in to kind of offset that. Now we're going to put in these character clauses and all of these things and question people's character or how good a guy was in his community and how great of a person he was. So if we're going to do that, I mean, now it becomes a mockery, to be honest with you, because if you ask me personally, I know what kind of player I was, and I knew that I was going to meet these numbers. Now, I wasn't a guy that go up there and walk 100 times when I first came in the league. I was swinging my way into Stardom. But once Bobby Bonds got a hold of me and told me to start learning how to take walks because it's going to take you to the greatest level up here, I started doing that, which costs you base hits because there's pitches I could have got base hits on, but there wasn't strikes. So I took the walk. So these are certain elements of a Hall of Famer's game that when you don't have the numbers, then you wasn't able to do. Now, if you ask me, could I won more batting titles? Of course I could have. But the point was my job was to drive in runs and hit home runs. And that's what I did. And be clutch. That was the thing. Be clutch. Now, when you say this guy is better than you because he hit singles, I mean, that's laughable to me, So, I know the player is not saying that. It's the writers are saying that because they want to have a reason to root for that guy. And like I say, it's a matter of preference.
But too, I mean, how many of those writers ever went to your community in Tampa and seen what you did too? So, like I said, unfortunately, we're the only sport that allows people to have and hold grudges for whatever reason it is, and they put who they want in the Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? I mean, me and Gary we went to see Dave Parker. Like I said, he's big brother, father figure to us. I mean, how can this man not be in the Hall of Fame? How could you said just on your resume, on your resume, Gary has the resume, but there's a lot of people, some few people I've seen that went in and don't have a resume. You know what I mean? But
well, let me ask you this, Greg. When people talk about resume, you're supposed to be in, right? I have that, right? Okay, so now it becomes a writer say, well, bad character guy. Okay, so what did I do to have bad character? I never smoked a marijuana joint in my life. That don't make you have bad character, but I never have done it. I've never been a druggie, never done it. That don't make you have bad character. It's just bad judgment, but not character. I'm married to my wife still after 26 years. That's character. That raising your family. I still have my family intact. That's character. Nobody can ever say that I've done this to them personally, something negative to them besides not answer their question. Or say next question. Or if you ask me a dumb question, I give you a dumb answer. That don't have anything to do with character. So when people try to question your character, That's called the gatekeepers. The gatekeepers question people's character because that's the only thing they can go to. Oh, well, he's crazy, he's on drugs, or he got bad character. I'm none of those things. And they can't prove none of those things. And so that's the part for me that I would never conform to a system to try to get into something. And I tell that to guys that came up to me yesterday at Reggie Jackson's event, trying to say, if you do this and say this and do that, I'm not doing any of it. Because the fact of the matter is, who vote for this, seeing me play, and it's just a matter of preference. If you don't want to vote for me because, I didn't like what you said when you said it in this, or I ain't like what you did over here. Well, that has nothing to do with anything. That's called childish. That's called immature, and that's called petty. And so you can be petty, but I'm not going to be petty with you. I'm going to continue to stand on my truth and give it to you 100. And if that don't get me in, hey, life goes on.
And that's the problem that we have in the NFL too. What you guys talking about with guys like T.O. You know what I'm saying? How you don't put T.O. in
The first time.
on the first go around? Come on. And that's the thing that we're the conversation that we're having about you. It's certain guys you have to just look at and say his number says he's supposed to be in. How can you hold a guy out like that? You know what I'm saying? But that goes back to the media. That goes back to the writers. That when you come and get us right after a game and think we supposed to say what you want us to say. We have the game on our mind, even if we win or lose. And most of the time, they only want to talk to us when we lost, and they think we played bad. You don't understand. We got feelings. We have emotions, and the coaches always tell us, well, don't say anything right after the game. That's true, but hey, sometimes you say things that you really don't mean. And these guys, as Greg said, they hold grudges. And they held
but let me say, when you say things you really don't mean, but you mean it at that time.
You really mean it at that time.
And I make it a point that I don't do a whole lot of apologizing. When I say what I say, I mean what I say when I said it. Now, what I may feel tomorrow may be different.
Right, that's
I'm
what
not going to come back on what I said.
Well, I love that, brother.
That's how I felt at the time. And
That's
so if that ain't real and authentic, then you're not looking for real and authentic people. You're looking for guys that script and say things and knowing that, hey, I got an endorsement deal tomorrow.
And we got a bunch of them.
That rule. My thing is, like I said before, when you talk about me and when I told you about the character and all these type of things, it's just a matter of preference that these guys have. And I understand it. That's why when you know what you know, then it is what it is. And so, like I said before, I would love to be in the Hall of Fame. I know I'm a Hall of Famer. Nobody can tell me anything different. You can't tell me, oh, he's a borderline Hall of Famer, and you letting guys in with less numbers than me and say he's a full-fledged Hall of Famer. That makes no sense. Anybody listen to that garbage, that's nonsense. Because then they want to make first ballot a big deal, like, oh, I got in on the first ballot. So what? The fact of the matter is, if you're a Hall of Famer, you're a Hall of Famer. I should have been in on the first ballot just like you should have been in it. Now, they got rules to it. They can vote for 10. Most writers don't vote for 10. And if they just put their 10 votes on there, maybe you would get in. So I look at all the scenarios. I know what it is. And that's why I say it is what it is.
I think fans know this, though. Like, fans, coming from a fan's perspective, like, we know you're a Hall of Famer. We know you guys are Hall of Famers. And we know that those are gatekeepers at this point. Because the whole point of this is, we talked about this, James, the whole point of this podcast is to show people, hey, like, the other side of this stuff.
Yeah, man, like I said, I know what type of person he is. I mean, he's still one of my closest friends. And, this is called life after sports. So tell me what's happening, what's going down after sports. Well, since you don't have to worry about that no more.
No, that's fine. Dave Winfield and we go way back. I looked up to Dave Winfield, and I knew he was a business-minded person. And Dave has been educating me on a lot of real estate and a lot of things that I've been doing with my life all through my time of playing. And by the time I got to retirement, I asked him, how do you know when it's time to go and you made enough? And he said, Well, based on the way your lifestyle is set up, and if you know you can maintain that for 100 years and generational money for your kids, and on down the line, then enough is enough. I put all those things in place. I had businesses all over the world. I've done so many things with my time and efforts when in the off season. And when I finally retired, I was more busy than I was when I was playing. And so what I finally told my wife was, we never had one home. We always had 3 homes. We had one in Aspen, we had one in Bahamas, and we had one in Florida. And if we get in New York, LA, we had homes everywhere. So I told her I want to simplify my life. I want one home. And all my businesses, I cashed out at the same time.
Wow.
And that's basically like I got a $50 million check. So I cashed out and I said, I have all of what I need. I made over $200 million playing baseball. I cash out my businesses and I don't never have to touch what I played with, So my kids, they have a wonderful life. My wife, she's happy. I'm happy. I mean, I couldn't ask for anything better. The only thing is the closure is the Hall of Fame. And so I know, like I say, I know what I know. When you know that that's the only thing that's left, and they know that because they know they never voted for me for MVP. I've been player of the year in both leagues 2 or 3 times. So how do you a player of the year in both leagues and not an MVP? So you chose not to vote for me. This ain't no different to me.
Yeah, like I said, man, he's always been true to me, and he's younger than me, and he would always try to even tell me what's best for me. You know what I mean? And I can attest to that. And Dave Winfield did the same for me. Like I said, we were fortunate to have people that look like us, at the time when we played, so they can tell us, what to do, give us advice, and hopefully baseball gets back to. Having more people that look like us. I know they got 3 Sheffields that are coming. You know what I mean? And they got they got a lot of Sheffields all over the country. If we just have the opportunity not to, to give us a chance to play. Just roll them out there and let the best players play. You know what I mean? That's how.
Greg. What I wish would come back is what we had. Is that the one thing that these kids are missing, that they don't realize how big a deal this is. When you come in the league, and I know because the league has gotten younger, so you're not going to have it as much. But the one thing that the veteran players did to us, no matter who we were, they didn't know us, anything. But if we look like them and we are them, they would make sure if they came in our town, we had to take them out the first game, first day on the home series. And if we go into their town, they had to take us out one day, whether they was married or not.
Yeah, they took us to their house to eat, whether it was to eat,
right, take it to their house to eat. So what that did was it showed you what you can become and what you can achieve once you become a veteran. They're showing you the life. This is what it's like to play 10 years. Now, when you see it, you can achieve it. And so these guys are kicking knowledge to you and talking to you about certain things or how to carry yourself and how to go about things. You're getting free education. And so all that is taking care of your own. That don't make you a racist. That don't mean you're not feeling whites or Latinos or whatever. You're taking care of your own, just like every race take care of their own. And there's nothing wrong with that. That don't mean I won't share information to a white player. That don't mean I won't share information to a Latino player. But I'm going to take care of my own. And so when you get back to that, you don't know the valuable lessons that you'll learn and how much more you can achieve when you know what you know. Like I said, when I was 19, I didn't know much, Greg. I was a guy in a small town that I didn't go probably 5 miles from my house. And so next thing you know, they dropped me off in Helena, Montana. And so, good luck with that. And so now you're trying to tell me, Shep, let's do this, let's do that, because you've seen the world before. I haven't. And so there's things that I saw that I try to help you with, and there's things that you saw you tried to help me with. And that's what made us get through it. And so that's what needs to come back to the game so these kids can pass it down. Don't take the ladder and go up the ladder and then pull the ladder up there with you. Drop the ladder down.
Oh yeah, for
You
sure.
know?
Yeah, yeah. And think, we have to mention Glenn Braggs, Mike Felder,
Yeah.
like you said, Dave Parker, and for us, Robin Yount, you know what I mean? Robin was, for me, they put my locker right next to him, but so like I said, should we going to have you on, once a week, eating lunch with Chef. Maybe
Hey,
we got to go,
hey,
yeah.
I agree.
Hey, yeah, Chef.
I
come
love
over.
it, man.
Yeah,
I love
once a
it,
week.
bro.
Hey, that's my brother, man. At least I get to look at him once a week. You know
Hey,
what I mean?
man.
Hey, anytime y'all need me, man, let me know. Like I tell people all the time, I'm not afraid to say things that most people won't say, and I'm not just loose lip just to be talking. When things need to be said and it matters, I'm going to say it because anytime you can deal with the consequences, ain't nothing I won't say or do because I can deal with the consequences because I made my money, I made my peace with my world I live in, and I don't have to let anyone in it in my little space. I'm good. And so things that need to be said need to be said. And so regardless if it's popular or not, because I don't live on social media. I don't do all of that stuff. I'm too grown for that. But based on what somebody say about me and think about me, it don't even move the needle to me. And so that's what I'm saying.
Well, man, for me being a professional football player, man, this is my first time probably spending any time, which I've seen you from a distance, and I've always admired the way that you carried yourself, the things that you did, because I admired the way that you played the game. It might not have been my game, but the way you played the game. And, brother, from me to you, I admire you because I can see what you're doing. And keep doing what you're doing, man. Push those boys that you got, man, and teach them what you know. So when they start pushing that other stuff on them, they already have the foundation, and I already know that you gave it to them. So when they accept that other stuff, man, that's just gonna make them even special. So, man,
That's right.
For me to you, God bless you, man, and
Man, I
thank
appreciate
you.
that. That means
Thank
a
you
lot.
for being who you are, my brother.
Oh yeah, he know I'm proud of him. Like I said, man. I mean, I had my grandson. Just a quick story. Shep had his family. I had my grandson at the All-Star game. I was doing something at the All-Star game. Major's falling asleep. He laying on Uncle Gary's lap, falling asleep. You know what I mean? I mean that's
Hey, that's what it's about. That's what it's all about.
Man,
That's what it's all about.
So we're gonna have to add that that other segment, lunch with Chef once a week. You know
Hey,
what I mean?
that's cool with
life
me.
after sports, lunch with Chef once
But you
a
know
week.
a guy like Chef is? He's a guy that's breaking chains and building dreams.
That's our mogo.
Hey, man, breaking chains and building dreams.
That's right.
Points to guys like you, me, and Greg. We're breaking them chains and building dreams.
That's episode number 3. We see you next week, man, at lunchtime.
Hey, G, welcome to the party, baby.
You can't get out now, dog. You can't get out now, dog.
Hey, man, hey. It was a good time, man.
Great,
All right,
man.
I will see you next week.
Bingo.
All right, much love,
All
Chef.
right.
All right.